You've probably heard that time is money, but what if I told you that for the rich, time isn't just money, it's the secret to unlimited wealth? Imagine this. You and a friend are both 25 years old. You both want to be wealthy. You both decide to start investing. But here's where things take a surprising turn. One of you starts investing just $200 a month today, while the other decides to wait, thinking there's plenty of time, so they begin investing at 35. You might think that after 40 years, the results would be pretty close, right? Wrong. The investor who started at 25, investing just $200 a month, will have more money than the one who waited until 35, even though they both invest the same amount every month for the same number of years. How? It's called compounding, and it's the hidden force that makes the rich rich, while others are left wondering why they never seem to catch up. Now, what if I told you that compounding is the reason some people make millions, while others stay stuck, endlessly chasing after the next big opportunity? It's not about working harder or making huge sacrifices. It's about using time and interest to your advantage. The rich know this secret, and today, you'll learn how they use it to their advantage, while you're waiting for the right moment to get started. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why waiting just 10 years could cost you a small fortune. And most importantly, you'll learn how to take action now, so you can let compounding work its magic in your favor. Conversational and compelling tone. So here's the truth. No one teaches in school. The most powerful tool to build wealth is not hustle, not luck, and definitely not chasing the next crypto pump. It's time. And when paired with even a small amount of consistent action, time becomes a wealth-building machine that quietly works in the background, day after day, year after year. That's what compounding is all about. Now, compounding might sound like just another financial buzzword, but in reality, it's the exact strategy used by the wealthy to grow fortunes that seem almost unfair. It's the reason Warren Buffett made 99% of his wealth after his 50th birthday. It's the reason why millionaires often stay millionaires even if their income dries up. And it's why every day you delay, you're giving up something that money can't buy back, time. This isn't just a lesson in numbers, it's a lesson in mindset. Most people think building wealth means you have to start big, that you need a six-figure salary or a massive inheritance, or some insider secret. But the truth? You just need to start early and stay consistent. That's it. In this episode, we're going to break down exactly what compounding is, why the wealthy swear by it, how it works step by step, and most importantly, how you can start using it today, no matter your income, no matter your age, because once you understand this principle, you'll realize something life-changing. You don't get rich by working more. You get rich by waiting wisely. Perfect. Let's begin the main content on breakdown section for the power of compounding, how the rich get richer while you wait. Point 1. What exactly is compounding? And why it's the most powerful wealth tool ever invented. Let's begin at the very root. What is compounding? At its simplest, compounding is the process where your money earns interest, and then that interest earns interest. And then, that new interest earns even more interest, creating a snowball effect that gets bigger and faster over time. But to really grasp the magic of compounding, you need to go beyond the basic definition. You need to understand the why behind its power and the how behind its growth. Think of a snowball rolling down a mountain. At the start, it's small and it grows slowly. But with each roll, it collects more snow, and eventually, it becomes a massive, unstoppable force. That's compounding. Your money is the snowball. The slope of the mountain, that's time. The steeper and longer the slope, the earlier and longer you invest, the more massive the snowball becomes. Now imagine this in the context of money. You invest $1,000 at a 10% return. After the first year, you earn $100 in interest. Nothing too exciting yet, right? But in year 2, you're not just earning 10% on your original $1,000, you're also earning it on that $100 interest from the first year. That means now you earn $110 in interest. In year 3, you're earning interest on $1,210 and so on. So far, the difference might seem minor. But fast forward a couple decades, and the picture changes dramatically. That original $1,000, left untouched and growing at 10% annually, it becomes over $17,000 in 30 years, and that's without adding a single extra penny. That's the silent power of compounding. The longer you let your money sit and grow, the more powerful it becomes. not linearly, but exponentially. This is the part most people miss. They look at short-term gains. They want results today, next week, next year. But compounding laughs at short-term thinking. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It works silently, steadily, and with extreme loyalty, if you respect one thing, time. Compounding doesn't care if you have a fancy job. It doesn't care how much you start with. It only cares about when you start and how long you stay in the game. That's why the rich love compounding, because once they put money into motion, it keeps working for them without needing more labor, more hustle, or more stress. They understand that the earlier you plant the seed, the bigger the tree grows, and that's not just a metaphor, it's math. This is how the wealthy escape the time for money trap. Most people work hours to get dollars, but compounding flips the script. You send your dollars out to work for you, and they bring back more dollars, who bring back more dollars. And suddenly you're building wealth while doing nothing but being patient. It's not just a strategy. It's a mindset shift. From chasing quick money to building unstoppable momentum. From spending every dollar to multiplying it. From thinking like a consumer to thinking like an investor. And here's the catch. The earlier you understand this, the more powerful the results. That's why someone who starts investing just $100 a month at age 20 and stops at age 30 often ends up richer at retirement than someone who starts at 30 and keeps investing until 60. Let that sink in. The first person invests for just 10 years. The second invests for 30 years. But the one who started earlier wins. That's not a trick. That's not magic. That's compounding. And yet, most people never use it. Why? Because they don't understand the timing factor. They think they can catch up later. They think they need to wait until they make more money. But every year you delay, you're not just losing time. You're losing potential growth. And that loss is permanent. Compounding rewards action. It punishes procrastination. Every day you wait, you're handing future wealth to someone else. That's the brutal truth. This is why banks, credit card companies, and lenders love compound interest when they're the ones earning it from you. But when you're on the other side, when you're the one using compounding to build your wealth, that's when everything changes. Compounding is not just a financial strategy. It's the single most important money principle you'll ever learn. Point 2. Time is the ultimate multiplier. Why starting early beats starting big. Now that you understand what compounding is, let's talk about the one thing that makes it work like rocket fuel. Time. Most people think getting rich means investing a ton of money. That if you don't have thousands of dollars sitting around, you're already behind. But the truth? Time beats money. Every single time. Let's take two imaginary people. We'll call them Sarah and James. Sarah starts investing $200 a month at age 20. She does this for just 10 years. At age 30, she stops contributing entirely. She never adds another dime. James, on the other hand, doesn't start until age 30. He invests the same $200 a month, but he does it for 35 years, all the way until age 65. So who ends up with more? Shockingly, Sarah wins. Even though she invested less money for a shorter period of time, she ends up with more wealth at age 65 than James. Why? Because her money had a 10-year head start to compound. Her $24,000 investment turns into over $350,000. James, despite investing over $84,000, ends up with less. This is the single most overlooked truth in personal finance. Starting early is more important than investing more. Why? Because of how exponential growth works. In the early years of compounding, your growth is slow. Your money inches forward. It feels like nothing is happening. This is where most people give up. They say, "It's not worth it. I barely made anything this year." But what they don't realize is that the early years are planting seeds, not harvesting crops. In compounding, the last years do all the heavy lifting. That's when your account begins to explode. That's when interest earns interest on interest on interest, and your wealth starts snowballing at light speed. But you only get to enjoy that explosion if you start early enough. That's why the wealthy obsess over starting now. They know the real magic doesn't happen in year 1 or year 5 or even year 10. The magic happens in year 20 and year 30, but only if you put in the work today. And the beauty of time is that it levels the playing field. You don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start while you're young. Because every dollar you invest in your 20s is worth way more than a dollar you invest in your 40s. Let's say you're 22 right now. If you invest $100 a month consistently until age 60 and get an average 10% return, you'll retire with over $700,000. That's from just $100 a month. Now compare that to someone who waits until 40 to start. Even if they invest $500 a month, 5 times more, they might still fall short of that $700K mark. Why? Because they lost the most valuable asset of all, time. This is why the rich tell their kids to start investing as teenagers. This is why they open custodial accounts, Roth IRAs, and compound interest savings accounts for their children before they can even walk. They understand that wealth isn't just about how much you invest, it's about how early you begin. And here's the best part. Once you understand the time factor, you stop comparing yourself to others. You realize that your greatest advantage isn't how much you make, it's how soon you act. Compounding is a long game, but the longer you give it, the bigger the reward. The wealth curve, why compounding is exponential, not linear. If you've ever felt frustrated seeing tiny gains in your savings after months of being disciplined, you're not alone. This is where most people give up. They look at their account after a few years and think, what's the point? They saved diligently, they invested regularly, and yet the results feel underwhelming. But here's the key insight. Compounding isn't linear, it's exponential. And unless you understand that, you'll quit the game right before it gets good. Linear growth is what we're used to. You earn a paycheck. You save a portion. You build your income slowly, step by step. It's predictable. It's logical. But it's also slow. Compounding? It plays by different rules. Let me show you how it works. Imagine a simple chessboard. It has 64 squares. Now, suppose someone offers you a deal. They'll give you 1 penny on the first square, then double it on each square after that. So, 2 cents on the second square, 4 cents on the third, 8 cents on the fourth, and so on. At first, it doesn't seem like much. Even by square 10, you've only earned a few dollars. But by square 20, you start seeing serious money. By square 30, it's over $10 million. And by square 64, it's over $18 quintillion. That's 18 followed by 18 zeros. That's exponential growth. Compounding works the same way. It starts painfully slow. So slow that it often feels like it's not working. But then, suddenly, it accelerates. Here's a real-world example. Warren Buffett. Most people know Buffett is one of the richest men alive. But what they don't realize is when that wealth came. At age 30, Buffett's net worth was just over $1 million. At 50, he had about $300 million. But at 60, he hit $3.8 billion. And by 90, over $100 billion. Over 99% of Warren Buffett's wealth was earned after his 50th birthday. Not because of new business tricks, not because of some secret strategy, but because he stayed in the game long enough for compounding to go exponential. Buffett didn't make all his money by being the best investor. He made it by being a good investor for a very long time. That's the secret. The compounding curve starts out flat. It takes years, sometimes decades, for the magic to really kick in. But when it does, it takes off like a rocket. And that's when fortunes are made. Now here's the problem. Most people bail before the curve bends upward. They save for 3 years and stop. They invest for 5 years and pull their money out. They chase fast returns, not realizing that compounding rewards endurance, not excitement. It's like planting an oak tree. In the first few years, you barely see any growth above the surface. But beneath the soil, the roots are stretching, anchoring, getting stronger. And then, one day, it shoots upward, tall, unshakable, unstoppable. Compounding does the same thing. It hides its power in the beginning. It tests your patience. But once it blooms, it's breathtaking. The rich understand this curve. They don't interrupt it. They don't pull money out for shiny objects. They don't panic during down years. They trust the curve. They stay in the game. The average person? They get excited at the start, discouraged in the middle, and miss out on the reward at the end. But now that you know about the curve, you have a choice. Will you be the person who walks away too soon, or the one who waits, quietly, while the wealth builds below the surface, ready to explode? Because the curve will come. The question is, will you still be on it when it does? Point 4. Consistency over complexity. Why small, repeated actions matter more than perfect strategy. Let's get real for a moment. We live in a world that's addicted to optimization. Everyone's looking for the perfect investment, the highest ROI, the best timing, the secret strategy the pros use. And in that pursuit, we forget the single most powerful principle behind compounding: consistency. Not perfection, not genius, not timing the market. Just consistent action, repeated over time. This is the secret sauce that rich people don't just understand, they live by it. Here's a simple truth. A mediocre investment made consistently will almost always beat a brilliant investment made once. Why? Because compounding isn't fueled by intelligence, it's fueled by repetition. The more you feed it, regularly, habitually, even when it's boring, the faster it grows. Let's say you invest $300 every single month for 30 years into a boring index fund that tracks the market. No hot stock picks, no fancy tactics, just slow, steady investing. At a 10% average return, that $300 monthly habit turns into over $600,000. Now compare that to someone who puts in $10,000 once and never invests again. Unless they hit a miracle return, they'll never catch up. Why? Because compounding needs fuel, and that fuel is consistent deposits over time. But most people do the opposite. They look for shortcuts. They wait for the right moment. They tell themselves they'll invest big next year when they get a raise, when they feel more confident, when the market feels safer. But compounding doesn't reward timing. It rewards routine. The wealthy know this. They automate their investments. They treat it like a bill. Whether the market is up or down, they invest. Whether they feel excited or not, they invest. They take emotion out of the process and turn it into a habit. And because of that habit, they build wealth that looks impossible from the outside, but is completely explainable from the inside. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's boring consistency, stacked over time. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't brush for an hour once a month. You brush for 2 minutes every day. That's how real change happens. The same is true for investing. So here's the new mindset. Don't try to be a genius investor. Be a reliable one. Start with whatever you can afford. $50 a month, $100 a month. The amount doesn't matter as much as the rhythm, because once you build the habit, increasing the amount becomes easy. But if you keep waiting for the perfect amount, you'll never start. The key to compounding is to get in the game and stay there. And here's the beautiful part. Consistency actually protects you from risk. When you invest regularly, especially through dollar-cost averaging, you naturally buy during dips. You buy more shares when prices are low and fewer when prices are high. Over time, this balances out your cost and smooths out volatility. That's what the pros do. Not because it's flashy, but because it works. So don't obsess over being perfect. Obsess over being present, showing up, every week, every month, rain or shine. Because wealth isn't built in a weekend. It's built in the quiet moments, the routine habits, the simple, repeatable steps. Compounding is like a loyal friend. It shows up for you every time you show up for it. Point 5. Time is the secret weapon. Why starting early beats? Starting big lets. Wrap this up with the most powerful and most overlooked truth about compounding. Time. If you remember only one thing from this entire breakdown, make it this. Compounding is not a money game. It's a time game. You can invest a little. You can invest inconsistently. You can even invest in boring assets. But if you give those investments enough time, the results will stagger you. And here's the hard reality. The rich understand this from the start. They teach their kids this. They set up accounts when their children are toddlers. They don't wait for the right time. They start early. And that one decision changes everything. Let me show you how powerful time really is. Imagine two people. We'll call them Sarah and Tom. Sarah starts investing at age 20. She puts away just $200 a month into a basic index fund. She does this for 10 years. Just 10. And then she stops. That's $24,000 total. Tom, on the other hand, waits. He starts investing at age 30, a full decade later. But he's aggressive. He invests $200 a month too, but he keeps it up for 35 years until retirement. So Sarah invests for 10 years and then stops. Tom invests for 35 years straight. Who ends up with more money? The answer will blow your mind. Assuming a 10% return, Sarah, who only invested for 10 years and then let it sit, ends up with $1.1 million by retirement. Tom, after 35 years of investing the same monthly amount, he ends up with about $900,000. Let that sink in. Sarah invested for less than a third of the time and still came out ahead. Why? Because she gave her money time to grow. That's the power of compounding. The first few years aren't about returns. They're about positioning, planting the seed early so that time can do its work. Because the longer your money stays invested, the more powerful it becomes. And here's the kicker. The biggest gains come at the end. In compounding, the last 10 years are more valuable than the first 20. Why? Because that's when the growth snowballs. That's when your money is making more money than you are. That's when the curve goes vertical. This is why the rich don't panic during market dips. It's why they don't obsess over short-term losses. They understand that time is the ultimate multiplier. They're not playing for the next year. They're playing for the next decade or more. And that's what most people get wrong. They think the game is about how much they can invest, or how smart their picks are, or how often they can trade. But the truth? The truth is that the person who starts early, even with small amounts, almost always ends up ahead of the person who starts late with bigger amounts. Why? Because money earns money. And then that money earns money. And the earlier you let it start, the stronger it becomes. It's like pushing a snowball down a hill. At the top, it's small, slow, barely moving. But if you give it enough slope, enough time, it grows bigger, faster, and heavier. Eventually, it becomes unstoppable. That's what happens when you give compounding enough runway. Now, you might be thinking, but I didn't start at 20. I missed the boat. Let me stop you right there. Yes, starting early is powerful, but the next best time, right now. Because what matters most after starting early is starting now. Every year you wait is a year you rob from your future self. The difference between starting today versus 5 years from now could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not because you invested more, but because time had more space to work its magic. And here's the most empowering truth of all. You can't control time, but you can control when you start. The rich aren't rich because they found the perfect stock. They're rich because they got into the game early, stayed in the game long, and let compounding do the heavy lifting. And here's the most exciting part. Anyone can do this. You don't need to be a financial genius. You don't need a 6-figure salary. You don't need to time the market. You just need to start. Start small. Start imperfect. Start scared. But start now. Because every day you wait, the snowball gets delayed. And make no mistake, this is how the rich get richer. While you're hesitating, they're compounding. While you're researching, they're reinvesting. While you're trying to time the market, they're riding the wave. They know the secret. And now you do too. So the question isn't, how do I get rich? The real question is, how long are you willing to wait before letting your money grow without you? Because the moment you start, the clock starts ticking in your favor. Time is your greatest asset. Don't waste it trying to be perfect. Just get in and stay in. That's the real secret behind compounding. Not money, not strategy,